burning issues in football are reaching record temperatures. What does Neymar's transfer fee mean for an overcooked market? Is criticism over RB Leipzig's corporate backing misguided? And are gamers playing FIFA interactive football athletes? These burning issues of football and more here on The Burning Issue.
No! Come on!
Neymar's 2017 transfer fee was a game changer, setting fire to the record book. So what does it mean for football? Having scored 105 goals, won La Liga twice, and a Champions League title in 4 seasons at Barcelona, Neymar felt it was time for new challenges, and that Paris Saint-Germain was the place to find them. The transfer fee in 2017 for £200 million on a 5-year deal blew the walls and roof off the market, throwing the Brazilian onto the highest monetary pedestal in football history, more than doubling the previous record set by Manchester United when they bought Paul Pogba in 2016. The Parisian spotlight well gone from Zlatan. It's hard to comprehend the pressure that comes with such astronomical dollar signs. But when asked if Neymar felt the burden...
As far as being the most expensive player, no. You know, it's not a burden. I'm 69 kilos, and I don't have a burden on my back. I'm happy, and that's the most important thing. It's not a burden.
Whether or not Neymar had his poker face on by laughing it off, there's a bigger issue here. Raised by one man you can always rely on to call it straight. Jose Mourinho.
I don't think he's expensive. For 200 million, I don't think he's expensive. I think he's expensive the fact that now you are going to have more players of 100 million, and you are going to have more players of 80 million, and more players of 60 million. And I think that's the problem, because Neymar is one of the best players in the world. Commercially, he's very strong, and for sure, Paris Saint-Germain thought about it. So I think the problem is not Neymar. I think the problem is the consequences after Neymar.
History tells us Mourinho's instincts are right too, and that Neymar's fee was serious fuel on an overcooked market. After the break, how can they justify such a price tag on a footballer? And is it even about football? Neymar's 2017 transfer fee to Paris Saint-Germain redefined market insanity, particularly for those with long memories, like Arsenal boss Arsene Wenger.
We crossed the first time the 100 million line last year, and only 1 year later we crossed the 200 million line. And when you think that Trevor Francis was the first guy for £1 million and that it looked unreasonable, that shows you how much distance, how far we have gone, and how big football has become. It's beyond calculation, beyond rationality.
It's true. Neymar's fee turned the upward curve on a staggering angle. Since Zidane's move to Madrid in 2001, the transfer record has been regularly smashed. But the 2017 deal between the Catalans and PSG was something else, making the jump from Kaká to Ronaldo look tame. Neymar, like every other footballer, kicks a ball around a pitch. Sure, he does it with that special extra magic some even compare to Pelé, but he's not doing brain surgery. Take a step back, though, and we see his fee is the result of a far larger machine. PSG chairman Nasser Al-Khelaifi summed it up when he said, "When you consider Neymar as a brand, I'm sure we'll make more money than we've paid." So what is it about the Brazilian that makes him such a cash cow? Even while at Santos prior to transferring to Barcelona in 2013, Neymar was one of the most marketable athletes on earth, up there with Messi and Ronaldo. Speaking of those two, the key to marketing is for fans to relate to their stars. Messi is famously cold and awkward off the pitch, relying purely on his freakish talent to generate interest. He's never controversial. He's never loose. He's, let's be honest, a little boring. Ronaldo, the only man on earth who can rival Messi for freakish talent, is far more lively, but more like a Greek god no one can hope to emulate. There's always been something about Neymar people can grasp more easily. He's super stylish, but with his feet on the ground. He's the guy that can take over an entire world-class city, yet remain connected to his roots. Even amid friction on leaving Barca, the club's suing him over breach of contract regarding bonuses, despite his release clause being triggered. He kept the relationships he built with his teammates alive. And if you think about it from a marketing perspective, Neymar was on the edge of his prime when he joined PSG, moving from boyish style master to man. The fee was ridiculous, but it was the consequence of a machine far larger than football. Players are powerful brands, and as long as clubs feel they can get bang for their bucks, ain't no turning back. Despite all the fame and glory, living lifestyles most dream of, some of the game's greats retired far too early. It takes a crowbar to pry some players away from the game. Driven on by an insatiable desire to keep winning, a feeling of incompleteness, or that they just can't think of anything else to do with themselves. But many others have come and gone far too quickly, leaving fans wondering how much more they could have achieved had they stayed. One of the greatest talents to emerge from Japan was dynamic midfielder Hidetoshi Nakata. Former captain of his country, Nakata earned 77 international caps, playing in 3 World Cups, and was twice Asian Player of the Year. He spent much of his club life in Italy, winning Serie A with Roma, and had stints at Parma and Fiorentina, before making a very brief dip into the Premier League with Bolton Wanderers, where the writing was on the wall.
The career is not important for me. I just want to enjoy, first of all, and challenge is always good for me. I need to have always new experience, which makes me big as a person, as a player. So any experience is good for me.
As he hinted, his interests went beyond the football field. And Nakata retired the following year, aged only 29. Effortlessly stylish, he became an international fashion icon, blended with humanitarian pursuits. After the earthquake and tsunami that devastated Japan in 2011, Nakata was involved in raising relief funds, playing a charity match in Singapore.
Football is not about sports. Football is more to connect the people. Now, the people living in those areas, I think most they need is not money. I think they need to feel to be cared from the other people.
He's also a connoisseur of sake, creating the traditional drink himself and stocking it in restaurants. It's a shame we never saw more years out of this legend, but he had a lot drawing him away from the field. French firebrand Eric Cantona was one of the most controversial players in the history of the game, infamously fly-kicking a Crystal Palace fan while playing for Manchester United in January 1995, sparking global outrage and an 8-month suspension. His success matched his temper, though. Cantona won 4 Premier League titles and 2 FA Cups with United in the 1990s. But the big Frenchman was aware of his limits. When Ryan Giggs broke Sir Bobby Charlton's record for appearances at United, Cantona paid respect.
There is just few players like Maldini or I don't know, Bobby Charlton, or players like this who can stay so long at the highest level for more than 20 years. It's unbelievable. I admire him because I wouldn't, not this kind of personality.
Like Nakata, Cantona had interests outside football and pulled the pin on his career, aged 30. Reflecting on his decision, I loved the game, but I no longer had the passion to go to bed early. He went on to claim success acting on the big screen and presenting a series of documentaries, all the while unable to switch off his kung fu instincts. Life was calling, but a few more years of on-field fireworks would have been welcome. This one's a little contentious, because technically, George Best played until 1984. But his retirement from Manchester United, first in 1972, then in 1974, aged 28, having been lured back for a stint, was really his departure. The fifth Beatle, who won a European Cup and 2 top-flight titles while with United, unfortunately couldn't manage his off-field escapades, with playing at the highest level for very long.
George Best put Manchester in the lead.
He did start playing regular football again in the USA through the 1980s. But the true tragedy is that his best days were in England, and they were cut far too short. Again, this last one is up for debate, considering he retired at 34. But Zinedine Zidane was so good and in such good shape, he could have chosen to strap on the boots again instead of taking up the manager's job at Real Madrid, aged 43, and still have been useful. Truth is, though, what was left for Zizou to achieve? He conquered Italy, he conquered Spain, and he conquered the world with France in 1998, crowned Ballon d'Or winner the same year. Still, it would have been good to see a few more seasons out of him. And then maybe our last image would have been more glorious than headbutting Marco Materazzi in the 2006 World Cup. After the break, RB Leipzig's rise through Germany caused huge protest. But is it misguided? Eight straight wins early in the 2016-17 season had the world looking on in awe. RB Leipzig sat 3 points clear of Bayern Munich atop the Bundesliga.
The surprise package has been Leipzig, who were only created, I think, 7, 8 years ago. So, a remarkable story that they've gone, through the leagues and are competing right at the top this season.
Created in 2009, to be precise, when energy drink company Red Bull purchased the playing rights of lowly 5th Division side SSV Markranstadt in a village just west of Leipzig, rebranding to Rasenball Sport Leipzig, RB Leipzig for short. With corporate backing, they demolished the 5th Division in the 2009-10 season, didn't lose a single match in the 4th tier in 2012-13, were runner-up the following season in the 3rd tier, and secured promotion to the top flight in May 2016. It fulfilled the club's intention of reaching the Bundesliga within 8 years, securing a place in the 2017-18 Champions League. Thing is, Leipzig is one of the most historically important football cities in Germany. The original club, VfB Leipzig, were the first German league champions in the 1902-03 season. So the big corporate governance ruffled a lot of feathers. Fans holding anti-RB Leipzig banners became common, particularly during Borussia Dortmund and Mönchengladbach games. But let's consider what Leipzig brought to the Bundesliga in their first season. For one, another challenge for Bayern Munich. While Leipzig finished away back in second, there were flashes of brilliance, like the thrilling 5-4 loss to the champions in the penultimate game. Bayern manager Carlo Ancelotti recognised a good thing.
Sometimes money is not the most important part. Of course, it is important, but I think the most important is the organization that you are able to build and the motivation and the atmosphere that you are able to create in a club.
That positive vibe went all the way up.
We have no pressure at all this season, and the only pressure is the pressure that we impose on ourselves, and we enjoy ourselves. I think you can see that in every training session, in every game that you see the team play, that they have fun together, that they enjoy to see how they improve as a team and individually as a player. And well, that's, I think, one of the most important aspects of motivation.
Strong culture included having the right man in charge. Austrian Ralf Hasenhüttl, who inherited Leipzig after an impressive tenure with FC Ingolstadt, was instrumental. There was also the mindset of a hard-playing, fearless young squad.
We do have very little Bundesliga experience in our team, so we are looking forward to every match. As a club and team, it's the first season in the Bundesliga, and because of that, it's a great experience and a huge challenge for us.
Guns like Timo Werner thrived under the pressure, scoring 21 goals in the season. Leipzig copped it for its corporate model. But let's not forget the passion and smarts at the heart of the team's first season. And let's also remember that for teams to reach greatness in a football world dominated by giants, it takes huge ambition and vision. RB Leipzig's model has produced something really exciting and is helping the sport evolve. That should be celebrated. Interactive football games are global phenomenons, with competitions launching careers. But can we call gamers athletes? Really hardcore gamers take their craft pretty seriously. And the nuts that go nuts for FIFA's interactive game are no exception.
Yeah! Come on!
Thing is, the eSports world, which allows everyday Joes to become their heroes as avatars, is becoming pretty darn serious too. The 2017 FIFA Interactive World Cup, held in London and won by England's Spencer Gorilla Ealing, had a prize pool of $200,000. And you heard right, folks, an Englishman won a Football World Cup. Well, virtually. Get it? The suits see this so-called sport as a natural evolution.
The younger, digital native demographic, these are people who love video games, they love sport, and this is the combination of those two things.
It's a phenomenon that's been brewing for a long time now. Way back in 2001, David Beckham put his stamp on the game David Beckham Soccer. At the time, he was asked what made kids so fanatical about gaming.
I think the excitement of being involved on a big stage, like playing for Man United and playing for England. They can go out on the pitch and enjoy their football, and they can, enjoy it in their homes by playing the game.
Commenting on eSports, Dr. Joe Twist, CEO of interactive entertainment company Yuki, feels anti-gamers have missed the boat.
When you're selling out Wembley and when you're selling out huge stadia across the world and in the UK, it's already mainstream.
And apparently certain parts of the world are well ahead of the game.
you know, in countries like South Korea, for 10, 15 years, they've treated professional eSports players as just as they do like Premiership football stars.
The fact Dr. Twist has the initials for Chief Executive Officer around her neck means she must know what she's talking about, right? FIFA is certainly taking notice.
We don't see it as something very different from the other events that we run. It's just another way of consuming football. Our audience wants it. The young, especially the young audience, is consuming football a lot more now on e-gaming. So we treat it exactly the same way. We put on big events.
So clearly this thing is here to stay. But is it good for people to be so mad for a fake version of the game, where supposed athletes sit on their backsides for hours on end? Unsurprisingly, the CEO was defensive.
Whenever anyone says to me, you know, well, games, young people, they're staying inside, and it's just a bit of a misconception, I believe. There are, you know, you never hear people who complain about their children reading books for hours and hours and hours on end. We always promote and advocate a responsible approach to games, and you do everything in balance. So yeah, take regular breaks, go outside.
Weirdly, Adam Gamili, who was on the winning team in the 4x100 metres relay at the 2017 London World Athletics Championships, is a big admirer of the athletes.
These guys they're athletes, they are athletes. They dedicate so much time to what they do and their craft, and although I do something very different, I'm more physical, these guys I'm happy for them to go out there and do what they do.
And the Supes agree.
Raw talent isn't enough. You've got to put in practice. Just like any other type of competitor, these guys have got to put in a lot of hours, and then they have to be able to perform at the right moment on the biggest stage.
Are you really trying to tell us there's any comparison to the natural movements, cardio, strength, and agility all required when playing the real version of football? OK, we'll admit that there's skill in the virtual form of the game, but at the very least, they should stop calling the thing a sport. Still to come, should Arsenal owner Stan Kroenke be boycotted for his TV channel on big game hunting? Sports magnate Stan Kroenke was born in Missouri in 1447. Sorry, 1947. In 2017, he was worth more than $7 billion. Wrangled from things like owning Kroenke Sports Entertainment, NFL team the Rams, and Arsenal Football Club. He's the kind of guy with so much power, he endorses the construction of the 80,000-seat City of Champions Stadium, set to be the new home of the Rams in Los Angeles, and then watches the suits scurry around to make it happen. Then in 2017, 3 years before construction was due to finish, the NFL announced the stadium would host the Super Bowl.
We've been awarded a Super Bowl in 2021, and we're excited about it.
So yeah, Kroenke's got power, and he's audacious. In the face of mass outrage, he gave his full backing to Arsene Wenger when the Gunners manager signed on for 2 more years in 2017. Even worse than re-signing Wenger, Mr. Pinstripes unveiled his TV channel, My Outdoor, the same year, which televised the hunting and killing of wild and often endangered species. The channel insists all hunts shown are ethical and fair chase. But it's reported it shows dudes with rifles hunting elephants, lions, and giraffe for trophies. Is killing a beast to hang it on your wall really ethical? As if we don't force animals into enough situations for our amusement. TV personality and environmentalist Ben Fogel, who's no stranger to getting down in the mud over an issue, was a firm objector. He launched a campaign on social media saying, "If you care about wildlife, be loud and boycott Arsenal and Stan Kroenke." The idea being that money made by the club is inadvertently supporting the Bloodsport channel. Media personality Piers Morgan backed Fogel. Spokespeople claimed Arsenal wouldn't profit from the channel. But with the amount of avenues money comes and goes at a club, how could we know? Sorry to leave you on a downer, but like the other issues in this episode, it's worth holding up the torch. Thanks for watching.
You cannot be